My name is Chandra Doremus, and I work for Kentucky State University with Cooperative Extension. And so I work here in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. And what I do is I work with organizations within the community, and I do programs for nutrition education, and I also do parenting programs. So for today's broadcast, I'm going to be talking about meal kits versus home cooked meals. All right, so with meal kits versus home cooked meals, we're going to go through an overview of what they are, why all the craze, why people are so kind of addicted to meal kits. We're going to talk about the delivery service a little bit, pros and cons. Do meal kits have the nutritional value that home cooked meals do? And we're going to do a cost comparison chart to see what's the difference between purchasing a home cooked meal versus a meal kit. So why meal kits? According to the March 2019 Nielsen report, 2.2 million new U.S. households purchased meal kits in 2018, which was up 51% from 2017. Sales of meal kits in grocery stores and other retail outlets range up to $93 million in sales in 2018. 100 companies in the United States provide meal kit services and food commodity products for grocery stores, retail stores, stores like Walmart, Target, some of your grocery locations like Publix, Kroger, Sam's Club, some of those items, or some of those retailers. 1 in 5 adults have tried a meal kit service. People like to try new foods and prepare recipes already made. So why meal kits? Again, people pretty much are in a process of not wanting to cook because they're kind of in a hurry due to working long hours. There's an increase in women joining the workforce and rising cost of housing and food. So people have to work longer hours. So it's pretty much easier access for some people. And then in some cases, it may be easier for people, say for instance, in say for instance, a assisted living situation, or they may not be able to cook food as readily. They may have some type of temporary ailment or disability where it may be hard for them to get around and to actually cook. So a meal kit would be more convenient for them in that situation. And the other option is you may just have some friends over, or you might not have enough food at home to actually cook for people. So a meal kit would be another option. So this results in parents and families requiring more meals on the go, which you go to your meal kits. So 3 reasons why meal kits are so popular. The main 3 reasons are convenience, variety, and food waste. Convenience, the preparation and cook time for meals in these kits is between 30 to 60 minutes. So you're looking at the fact that you don't have to do a lot of food prep with your preparation. All of the items, and you'll see in a picture here, and I'm going to show you in just a second. Let me see, it should be on. Oh, sorry, I'm going to go to that in just a second, but I could kind of give you a highlight of that. Here we go. If you can see in this picture here, there's actually some chopped vegetables and chopped meat and some items that you'll see within an actual meal kit. So it comes kind of pre-prepared, and it comes in portion sizes, which is a definite advantage. You have your variety. They offer a lot of variety of foods, especially fresh produce. It's a great way to receive your essential nutrients. Food waste, it's a good way for you not to waste food if you are kind of not the best person when it comes to measuring amounts when you're actually cooking. For me personally, I know I've had to get used to actually using measuring cups and things of that nature so that I don't waste food. And food waste typically comes when you have a household where it's maybe just 1 to 2 people and you're cooking meals for yourself, or you may just not have a lot of people that you're feeding. Even you can have food waste if you're cooking for a lot of people and they may not consume as much food as you think that they would consume. So meal kits primarily are prepackaged food meals. They have recipes inside of them and pre-measured ingredients. They're ready to heat up and eat. There's a variety of brands of meal kits. You have the top three popular brands are Blue Apron, HelloFresh, and Plated. And so with each individual meal kit or service, they have different options available. So they might have more delivery options. I know with HelloFresh, with all of them actually, you have the option of going in and selecting your particular food recipe, or you can look at something specific that you want to actually purchase. So that's one of the biggest advantage of them. Some factors to consider before purchasing meal kits is going to be your budget for food purchasing and groceries. Your cost, is it worth the value to pay the extra cost for the amount of food that you're getting? Your family and household size. Does your family size include a single family household or multiple people? Your family size is going to definitely be a big factor in purchasing your meal kits, because if you're going to be purchasing for, say for instance, just a smaller or a bigger group of kids, say for instance a married couple with 4 kids, then a meal kit may not be the way to go, because the portion sizes do tend to be smaller and you do have to pay more per serving ounce. So some other 2 things to consider: number of guests eating at your residence on a daily basis or on occasion. How many times a week will you need the meal kits? The other thing to consider when you're having guests over for a specific event, a meal kit may not be the way to go, because you know, you don't have a lot of prep time in terms of you're trying to get the mood set. You might have games, activities, especially if it's like a birthday celebration or let's see, baby shower or wedding reception or something like that. It depends. You kind of want to have that more of a catered situation, especially if it's a reception or something. Baby shower or something like that, you may want to have someone to cater that as well, because guests are pretty particular about what they like to eat. They're kind of picky eaters, so to speak. So you want to have some finger foods that's a little bit more just for snacking. You know, sometimes, and then cost wise, for a meal, it's going to run you a little bit more money anyway. So you might just want to go the route of catering, or just doing it yourself, or having one of your friends to do that for you. Some other factors to consider are, will your family or guests like the taste of the food included in the meal kit? Will the food be as fresh in the prepared meal kit package, especially salads, lettuce, spinach, fruits, and vegetables? Is the nutritional value as good? Will it be affordable for your family size? And I want to say a little bit more about the will the food be as fresh. I actually did go out and purchase a prepackaged salad on yesterday, and it had the meal kit sign on the front of it, purchase and go, or you know, ready to go and eat. And I brought it home, and when I opened it, the salad was not as fresh. So that was a little bit of a drawback for me. I did have to pick out some of the bad lettuce, and the cost was about $5 with tax. It was basically a shelf salad with ranch dressing, and it had tomatoes in it. It had turkey and ham, and it had I think that was about an egg, half of like a little sliced egg. And so what I did with mine was I did add some other fresh salad, well, actually some fresh cucumbers and tomatoes with it. And I added a little bit more to make my serving size bigger, because it was going to be a meal for me and not just a snack. So those are some options you can do if you have something that, you know, you may get and it's not as fresh, and it's something to consider, especially with your salads, because you cannot, you know, in terms of cost, you're going to be wasting money. And I can tell you, price wise, I could have gotten a whole bag of spinach for about $2.25. And I could have gotten 2 cucumbers for $1. And tomatoes, I probably would have had to pay a little bit more. But you can obviously tell that I could have got more serving size if I'd have went the traditional route and gotten just a regular salad. So that's definitely something to consider before you actually purchase a meal kit. I purposely purchased it just so I could taste and be able to give I guess a testimonial type thing where I could tell you a little bit of how it tastes. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight on how they actually taste. Okay, so the first option for meal kits we're going to talk about is the HelloFresh. So HelloFresh has easy to follow recipes with clear nutritional information. They have high quality ingredients sourced from the farm, convenient meal kits that fit perfectly in your fridge, and it's a fun cooking experience that makes you feel unstoppable. So, so in these kits, it's going to give you like an actual sheet where you can look at your recipe, look at your nutritional facts, and it's going to be pretty it's going to be easier to see it. You know, you can actually have a little page holder or something to hold up like a book, and you can place that on your countertop, and then you can just go straight off your countertop with the recipe, and it's got everything pre-measured for you and the food items, just like I have pictured here. Sorry about that. Just like I have pictured here, they have like the little cheeses and everything. It's like a little rice. So it's going to be a lot more convenient for you. You don't have to get out your measuring cups. You don't have to get out. Now, in some kits, it depends on which specific one that you're purchasing. You do have to do a little bit of chopping. So you kind of just have to look at the directions and everything and make sure you notice if it does say that you have to do some chopping. But as far as the serving size, it's pretty cut and dry. You'll see how much is in the pack, and they always give you all that information on your nutritional facts label. So for the next meal kit option, you have Blue Apron. This one allows you to cook one time and get 8 servings of food. Depending on the box you choose, which they have their signature kits, their carb conscious, or multi-cooker, you'll receive 2 to 4 different dishes that can be prepared in under 2 hours using one streamlined set of steps. So this one sounds like it's more for a larger group, and it's going to be more for, I guess, more specific, like if you're trying to carb conscious, you're trying to lose weight, or you're trying to maintain some type of specific dietary guidelines based off of what your nutritionist or your doctor has told you. So with this one, it seems like it's a little bit more, it caters a little bit more to your personal preference. The last one is Plated. Plated features delivered meals in the form of weekly boxes that contain ingredients and also include recipes to be cooked by hand by the customer using the pre-ordered ingredients. It was founded by 2 Harvard Business School classmates, Nick Taranto and Josh Hicks, in 2012, launched in November 2013. So with all these meal kits, it's pretty much the same deal in terms of you get your prepackaged food, you get a recipe, and you get ingredients. The difference will more than likely, the biggest differences you're going to see are your costs, nutritional facts, and things of that nature. So as far as your costs, I have a cost comparison chart here. We're looking at some recipe for balsamic chicken with lemonade green beans with a serving size for 2 people. And I have compared only 2 of the meal kits and a home cooked meal in this comparison chart. And so we have HelloFresh. Typically, the price for a HelloFresh kit is $8 to $10 per meal. And then for Blue Apron, it's $9 to $10.50 per meal. And then home cooked meal is approximately $5. And I would have to say with that, with the home cooked meals, that would be pending the idea that you have some pantry items to season the balsamic chicken, and that you're not having to actually purchase any seasonings to go with the meal. you're just purchasing the chicken, green beans, and you might have to buy like, I guess, something additional to go, maybe a fresh lemon. So if you look at the breakdown from a weekly standpoint, the Blue Apron is a little bit more costly. And we're looking at the breakdown on a 7-day process, like if you ordered meals 7 days out of the week. For the HelloFresh, it'll be approximately $70 at $10 per meal. The Blue Apron would be $147, and then the home cooked meals would be $35. So if you have a budget of only, say for instance, let's just throw a random number out there, $300 a month, then even though looking at this costing chart here, per meal, you can probably afford it. But if you're going to have to pay, if all you have is $300 and you have, say, let's just say 2 kids, and you got to feed them for the whole month, that's going to be cutting it pretty close in terms of what you're going to be spending on a weekly basis, because this only feeds 2 people. So you're going to be out 1 person at least. And then if you're married, then you're going to be out 2 people that can't eat because there's only 2 people's worth of food in 1 kit. So now you can buy bigger kits. However, the cost of that kit is going to go up. So it's definitely going to be more in the $20 to $30 range. I'm pretty sure. I did see some kits with just 2 servings of food in it for $16.99 when I was at Kroger on yesterday. So I thought that was kind of costly because it was similar to the balsamic chicken meal, and it had green beans in the kit. And that's pretty much all it had. It had 2 chicken breasts and green beans, and it had like some seasoning. And what you're actually paying for is your packaging and the fact that they have paid somebody the labor to actually pre-prep everything and clean the chicken. If they've had to take off any extra fat, if they've had to chop up veggies. So that kind of thing is going to be very important when you're looking at your cost comparison chart. Some of the advantages of meal kits is you got your variety, so you get the chance to choose from a lot of different recipes that you probably would normally not try in a traditional setting where you're doing home cooked meals. It helps you control portion sizes. So if you are someone who is diabetic, or you might just be an average person trying to lose weight because you're an athlete, or you want to stay in shape because you want to be healthy. So with the meal kits, it makes it easier because it already has food pre-measured to where it's set more so to the dietary guidelines set by the USDA and some of our other organizations that monitor how much food we are required to eat as adults or as children. The other advantage is ease of accessibility. Your food is already pre-measured. You can have it shipped to your home. So definitely a lot of advantages there. It's going to save you a lot of time as well. If you are not one of those people that likes to spend a lot of time in the kitchen or trying to prep food and all this other stuff, then this is definitely going to be the route you want to go. Some of the disadvantages, the taste may be very different, especially for children or picky eaters. If they're used to eating your spaghetti and you just all of a sudden decide to buy spaghetti from a meal kit and just put it in front of them, they may or may not eat it. So you kind of have to keep that in mind. Kids have their own little taste buds, especially with the younger toddler age. I say between 2 to 5 is very important stage for toddlers because they're developing their taste buds. So if it's something new to them, I would not invest a lot of money in purchasing meal kits for toddlers or even teenagers or preteens because they have very kind of different taste buds at that point, and they're only gonna want to eat certain things. So you have to introduce new foods to them slowly. So just keep that in mind. Cost of the actual meal kits and delivery service. The cost, like we already talked about before, with delivering things of that nature, you can pay anywhere from about $7 to $15, depending on how fast you want it and who you're ordering it from. And sometimes with certain meal kit delivery services, the people who deliver may want a tip, so you may have to add that little cost in there. Depending on which meal you purchase, the food within the meal kit may not last as long. Like we talked about a little bit before, the actual salads is something that would have a very short range or short time frame as a shelf life. When I say shelf life, that means how long it will actually last and be fresh and be edible for human consumption. So salad, things like fruits, especially strawberries, bananas, certain kinds of fruits, they do rot extremely quick. So outside of a week or 3 to 5 days, once the item has been cut open, then you're looking at very little time that it's going to stay fresh. You can freeze it. However, once it has been opened, the taste may not be there just as fresh as it is if you got to just cut it. And so when it's coming to you from somebody else, you don't know exactly when they actually started to process and open the food item or to prepare the food for you. So here's another price comparison chart. This one has the option of if you like to go out to restaurants. So this is from Wellio. And so we got some price comparisons for home cooking meal kits and restaurants. Home cooking, they're averaging about $4.31 is what you would spend on a meal. It says the average price per serving based on 86 meals.
Not that meal kits are necessarily a bad thing, but I guess my question is then would it be more nutritious to eat at home because of the ingredients that are in the meal kits?
It would depend on which particular one that you purchased.
Okay.
Because by nature, certain foods have more sodium in them. For instance, if you choose a meal kit that has a beef component within it or a beef food,
right,
likely there's sodium on that particular item. In order for them to make it tasty, they do have to include some sort of sodium. Now, I know that they have options to where you can get lower sodium in the kit, but what has to happen is you as the buyer would have to actually look at it, or as the consumer, you would have to look on your nutritional facts value menu or your little, it kind of like looks like a scan bar on the back of your kit, and it tells you exactly how much sodium is in there, how much sugars, how many carbs, and those kind of things are going to determine if it's more nutritional or not. And so, and the reason I bring up sodium is because cardiovascular disease is one of the #1 killers in the United States. So, and a lot of times we don't look at things like sodium intake or sugar or carbs. And so all those things are things that can increase your blood pressure dramatically. And it could be just a difference of you, say for instance, like you said, cooking at home, I would say you can control it to me a lot better because you can select, say, no sodium green beans, or you can say lower sodium corn, or you may not want a lot of salt on your beef or your chicken. So now the alternative to the meal kit is your home cooked meals. And so with the home cooked meals, we kind of talked about some of this already. You can choose your nutritional value. You get more food for your money. You have a lot more variety in choosing your ingredients. The taste may be better, and that probably is going to depend on the brand and what specific recipe you're using. And your food should last a lot longer because you'll have a better idea of when the food was cooked. And some of the disadvantages of home cooked meals, you have to prepare it and measure ingredients yourself. Don't have the necessary time to prepare a healthy meal. You can cook too much food, or you can actually cook too little food if you underestimate how many people you're going to be feeding or how much food you guys have. Cleanup before and after meal takes up much more time with home cooked meals versus pre-cooked meals. So that's a big factor. If you know that after work, you and the kids get home, or you and the husband, or just yourself, you don't have like 2 hours till you have to get in bed and get ready for work. You have an early day the next day. You may not have an extra 2 to 3 hours just to spend trying to prepare, cut, chop, do all this different stuff just to make one meal. So the meal kit in that aspect is better. So my final thoughts on this: there may be value in using meal kits as a cooking project or activity for families. However, it may be more cost effective to purchase food commodity items and teach your kids how to measure, prepare, and cook the food using a more traditional method. Make sure that the cost is feasible for your family size and household, because if it is not, you may end up having to cut costs elsewhere down the road. So if your budget, like we talked about before, is very essential in determining before you start going out here spending money on meal kits, and it's only going to last you like a couple of days, especially in those cases where you have 2 to 4 kids to feed maybe, and they're preteen to teenage age and they eat a lot of food. So, I mean, let's just be honest, you can't start spending about $10 per person just to feed one person. So it comes a lot more practical to just go ahead and get a whole pack of, say, chicken breasts for $8 at Kroger, cook some rice with it, buy a couple of cans of vegetables, say for like 75 cents a pop, and then you're done. Like, it's not that complicated. You can put some seasoning on it, pop it in the oven, put the rice on and the veggies. You got a full meal, and you can feed 4 people with that, plus yourself and your husband or your significant other. So those are some factors definitely to consider. I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. Well, let me go over one thing before I go through that. I got my references listed here. So the information came from an article or a publication from the University of Kentucky, and I also looked at some articles online. Here's my contact information if you would like to get in touch with me for more information on nutrition education programs within Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Here's my email. It's going to be my first name, my last name at kysu.edu. And there's my phone number. You can check us out on Facebook, #KYSU.ag. And that's all I have for you today.